And I can't wait to tell you guys what's on this team. I think we're actually going to see it on screen. There it is. The crowd's ready for it. All right. So Omari there is on the left, is going to be on the bottom screen. And there it is, the Pachirisu. Everyone's loving it. So we got, starting at the top there, we got Pachirisu, we got the Gothitelle, Gardevoir, Gyarados, Talonflame, and Garchomp for Sajin Park, the Korean national champion. And Omari, actually, who you can't see on screen, is bringing Garchomp, Zapdos, Florges, that we just saw actually in the previous match, Conkeldurr, Kangaskhan, and Talonflame as well.
Right, and Talonflame is really one of those Pokemon that has been, really popular and prevalent in the metagame. But the thing that stands out the most on Sajin's team, of course, has to be that Pachirisu. And Pachirisu is definitely an interesting Pokemon. It gets Volt Absorb, only weak to ground type attacks, and the only really ground type attacks that you really see right now are Earthquake from Garchomp. And one of the things that it actually has is Follow Me, which is so versatile.
Dude, the Follow Me set is scary on
that
thing.
Would not be surprised to see if Pachirisu paired up with Gyarados to just Follow Me away all those electric type attacks.
Yep, exactly right. So we do see the Patchy lead here. Gyarados firing off 2 Intimidates onto both of these physical attacking Pokemon, right onto the leads of Omari, Kangaskhan, and Talonflame.
Right, and right now, if I know anything about how these players play, I would not be surprised to see Sajin try to set up that Gyarados to begin boosting its attack with possibly a Dragon Dance to begin outspeeding. Big Intimidate right there, firing off onto Kangaskhan and Talonflame. Omari right now kind of playing down behind because of those Intimidates, but at the same time, Mega Kangaskhan, most likely Omari's Mega, really is just so powerful. If you don't have a way to counter it, then you're just playing from behind the entire time, because Kangaskhan is just so powerful.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The Kangaskhan always a threat, even down the stage. Now we see the switch into Talonflame there for the Zapdos. And the withdrawal actually on Gyarados there for Sajin. Choosing to bring in Gothitelle.
And one of the things about that, with that Gothitelle, most likely carrying that Shadow Attack, gonna lock Omari into Kangaskhan and Zapdos. Zapdos really not gonna enjoy facing off against that Pachirisu.
Exactly. We see the fake out from Kangaskhan onto that slot that was the Gyarados, not allowing really that Dragon Dance to go up if that was what was going to happen. We do see Nuzzle from Pachirisu, though. No Follow Me. There it is. Oh, and the Paralysis. Nice.
Yeah, one of those new moves introduced in the new Generation X and Y. Nuzzle, very weak attack, but it always paralyzes. Yes. So really, Sajin showing off what Pachirisu exactly can do. Nuzzle, I've never seen that move actually been used in competitive play, and now it comes out at the World Championship. So Sajin really means business right now. That Kangaskhan's going to be slow, and one of the things that people really enjoy about Kangaskhan really is that it is actually really fast and can hit really hard. But right now, this Kangaskhan's going to be playing from behind, and wouldn't be surprised to see if that Gothitelle actually had an attack that lowered Kangaskhan's attack.
Yeah, potentially there. We do see the U-turn going into that Gothitelle slot. And Zapdos will be returning to Omari.
And that's one of the ways to bypass Gothitelle's Shadow Tag right there, to U-turn out and really kind of scout what Sajin gets to do first as he gets to pick who he sends in.
All right, now the Talonflame's coming back in, unintimidated. We see this Super Fang onto the Talonflame slot, does a decent amount of damage. And Tickle on the Kangaskhan. It's going to lower its attack there and its defense. Oh, and the Paralysis doesn't allow it to move. Kangaskhan completely shut down.
Yeah, and right now that Kangaskhan really slow. Its attack's been weakened, and its defense actually fell too. Although Pachirisu and Gothitelle really don't hit physically, this could easily open up an opportunity for Sajin to switch in and easily do a lot of damage to that Kangaskhan, as it is unable to switch out right now. Super Fang, interesting move, always does 50%. Not always the most accurate move, but connecting with that Talonflame, doing a good amount of damage, bringing it all the way down to, as you see, the yellow, and really, needs to find a way out.
All right, and it looks like we see another switch here with the U-turn into that into the Gothitelle slot there. Omari trying to think of who to bring in right now. Looks like he decides on Garchomp. But unfortunately, like you said, Kangaskhan not being able to switch out. It's brutal there. And Patchy taking off 50% of Kangaskhan's health and following it up with a Psy Shock onto Garchomp. So Gothitelle not maybe trained that high in special attack. There it goes. Kangaskhan hitting through. Oh, the bulk is real. Is it enough to hang on? Oh my gosh, I think it has a sliver of health. That's incredible. Kangaskhan taking a little bit of recoil damage there.
Huge survive right there. Gothitelle is going to stay on the field for another turn. Interesting that Gothitelle has Psyshock, so now we see why Tickle's going to come into play, because Psyshock is actually going to hit it for physical damage. So right now that Kangaskhan in not too good a position. We see Omari with a lot of U-turn, a lot of volts, a lot of U-turn. So I feel like Omari, once he saw that Gothitelle on team preview, he instantly thought, I need to be able to switch, I need to be able to move around a bit more. I don't want to get locked into a certain Pokemon, so I'm going to bring all my Pokemon that can actually switch out with U-turn.
Exactly, Dewey. Exactly. And we actually do see a switch here for Sajin, bringing in the Gyarados, going to fire off another Intimidate onto Kangaskhan and onto that Garchomp now. And we see the Protect there from Gothitelle, so won't be able to get rid of her this turn. And there goes the Earthquake.
Really good switch right there.
That was a great switch. Yeah, it doesn't affect the Gyarados. Gothitelle protects, and Kangaskhan unfortunately taking the damage from that and doing a decent amount of damage to Gyarados actually with all those attacks being lowered, but it does end up picking up the feint on the Mega.
Interesting to note there, if that Gyarados did not fire off that Intimidate, his own Garchomp probably would have knocked it out with that Earthquake.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Clutch Intimidate from
Omari does not mind that Intimidate as Sajin takes an early 4-3 lead. Gothitelle still on the field, really just proving problems for Omari. One of the things that's going to be interesting is that now Talonflame and Zapdos are left for Omari. Omari is going to be able to continue to fire off U-turns if it really decided to switch, but of course that Gothitelle is already pretty weakened and can easily be knocked out, but I mean that probably won't prevent Sajin from just deciding to switch it out and keeping it in later on.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Dewey. It looks like Omari actually might be locked in already. Already knows what he wants to do here. Going to put a lot of pressure on with that Zapdos.
Right, and Zapdos, of course, going to be able to threaten that Gyarados, and if that is the Mega Gyarados, I mean, Mega Evolving it would not be too bad of a decision right now, because if you Mega Evolved it, then, you know, it would lose its Flying type and be able to take Electric type attacks a lot better.
Yeah. All right. Oh, Garchomp, nice. A Sub Chomp off the Protect on Gyarados there. Zapdos firing off a Discharge into the protecting Gyarados, but might be able to pick up the feint on Gothitelle. Gets her. There it is. Gothitelle going back to Sajin.
Right, and one of the things to note, if that Zapdos is going to be locked into Discharge, if it's possibly carrying a choice item, if Pachirisu comes in, it's going to be able to absorb a lot of volts.
Yeah, about that, Dewey. It looks like Pachirisu's on the field here. A Volt Absorb could be really scary at this point.
Right, and Pachirisu coming in, I mean, of course, I don't exactly know what it can do to Garchomp, but it's always going to threaten with that Super Fang onto that Zapdos. And Zapdos is one of the more bulky Pokemon, and eating a Super Fang is not something that's going to enjoy.
Definitely not. We do actually see the Mega Gyarados come out here, switching its typing, of course, like we said earlier. It will no longer have that Flying type. And there goes the Mold Breaker. Earthquake from Garchomp. Going to do damage to both of these Pokemon here. Not affecting the Zapdos, though. And does an okay amount to both of them, but only puts Gyarados in the yellow. Here comes a big waterfall onto Garchomp, most likely going to break that Substitute here. There it goes, the Substitute fades, Garchomp comes back out. And the Discharge from Zapdos. Oh, it's going to do a lot of the Volt Absorb on Pachirisu. Easily eats it up, but this could do some decent damage to Gyarados here. And it manages to hang on in the red. Super Fang. 50% Dewey right there. Oh, but proccing the Citrus Berry. Going to get a little bit of health back.
The Key
Oh,
Berry.
actually, the Key Berry. I didn't see that. I kind of spoke too soon.
Defense, so
I spoke too soon.
Interesting item choice right there for Omari, as a little bit of information is revealed. Pachirisu, of course, you know, firing off that Super Fang, bringing into range to activate a Berry. I mean, we see exactly what Mega Gyarados can do. I mean, good call right there from Omari. Probably saw the Earthquake was the best option. Probably was either going to smack that Gyarados with a Thunderbolt if it did not Mega Evolve, or sorry, the Discharge, if it did not Mega Evolve. But if it did Mega Evolve, then, you know, get some more damage on it with that Earthquake, while that Earthquake's going to be super effective against Pachirisu. Pachirisu did not mind that Earthquake at all.
No, it did not. All right, looks like we see a Protect from Gyarados there. Garchomp going Earthquake. Doesn't affect Zapdos. And there it is. Really not doing too much. Takes it down into the yellow there. All right. I think it's safe to say that was a Citrus Berry. All right, and the Thunderbolt. Gyarados protecting itself. And the Super Fang again into Zapdos. Going to do another 50% reduction there, down to 49 hit points.
Right, and right now, both players just trying to see who can get the upper hand. Zapdos and Garchomp, of course, going to be very, very important to Omari because I believe that those two are his offensive powerhouses. Garchomp, of course, going to be able to defend that Pachirisu. Pachirisu probably will only be able to fire off Super Fangs onto Garchomp, as we've already seen Nuzzle and... yeah, we've seen Nuzzle and Super Fang, so going to be able to do those. Garchomp cannot be affected by Nuzzle, which is actually very important. Will not get paralyzed by Nuzzle. Does not even take damage from Nuzzle. Zapdos, one of the cool things about it is that now it will not get paralyzed from Nuzzle at all.
Yes, very true.
Right now, I mean, Zapdos and Garchomp going to have to put in a lot of work from Omari, and it depends on what Sagen really has in the bag.
All right, it looks like we're going to get another Earthquake here. Going to do damage to both of Sagen's Pokemon and taking Pachirisu down to the yellow, really, really deep into that yellow there. Getting close to the Feint and drops the Mega there. Ooh. And the Thunderbolt, though, the Volt Absorb. Oh, no. Even more hit points back. Pachirisu just won't go away. And there it is, a Super Fang. So chipping away at both of these Pokemon. Takes a little damage from the rough skin.
Right, and right now... I mean, that Earthquake's not doing that much to that Pachirisu, but at the same time, whatever damage it does, that Zapdos actually heals it back with Thunderbolt as Talonflame comes out. Zapdos is going to be able to do a good amount of damage to that Talonflame, but at the same time, that Talonflame, you know, it's going to be able to outspeed that Zapdos and do damage back to it. So, unfortunate position right now for Omari, as Talonflame, really not the Pokemon he wanted to see coming out of the bag.
Definitely not. You always, you must fear and respect the priority Brave Bird.
Even then, that Flare Blitz will probably outspeed Zapdos, if it is even carrying Flare Blitz.
Yes, very true. All right, we get the Protect actually on Pachirisu here. The Overheat going down. Overheat, ooh. Talonflame. Look out.
Interesting.
Picks up the Feint on Zapdos, lowering its special attack, but who needs that? Who needs that special attack anymore? I think he did what he wanted to do there, and it loses a little bit of its hit points from, I think, the Life Orb there. Oh, no. How unfortunate there.
Right, and Sagen now in decent position. I mean, Talonflame versus Talonflame. And Pachirisu and Garchomp out on the field left over. So Talonflame, if it can outspeed, or sorry, if Sagen's Talonflame can outspeed and knock out Omari's Talonflame, it might be pretty over, in my opinion. I mean, Pachirisu might not actually be able to do damage, so needs to find a way to get rid of that Garchomp as the Follow Me comes out.
The big Follow Me. Looks like we're gonna get a Brave Bird here from Sagen. I think he might have it here. Right into that Talonflame slot, down to 0 hit points. Talonflame won't be doing an attack this turn, and lose a little bit of life from the recoil there and that Life Orb. And there goes Garchomp with the Earthquake. Of course, doesn't affect Talonflame, and might not even be able to pick up the Feint on Patchy, but it hangs on with the Sliver.
Pachirisu just showing off. I mean, Sagen, I don't know. Bringing Pachirisu to Worlds, you know, that's a gutsy call. And now on stream, where everybody gets to see exactly what it can do, it's not getting knocked out. It just does not want to Feint.
It will not go away. I mean, it's always tough. It's always tough when you have an electric-type Pokemon there firing off Thunderbolts into Pachirisu's slot. Follow Me, so brutal.
Right, and definitely a lot of information that Omari can take away from this, as it looks like Talonflame can easily just pick up the knockout on Garchomp with a Brave Bird. But, I mean, a lot of information's been revealed for Omari, you know, that Talonflame has Overheat, that's pretty big. You know, Intimidate will not work on its Fire-type attack of choice. And Pachirisu is actually really bulky, carrying that Citrus Berry with Super Fang and Nuzzle. You know, you don't want to fall into that Nuzzle trap again.
Yeah, I agree with you there. All right, looks like we get a Follow Me from Patchy. And there's the Brave Bird. Should be enough damage to finish off Garchomp here. And there it is. As it strikes, Garchomp down to 0. Takes damage from the rough skin. And both players shaking hands.
Right. And, I mean, that was a great play set from both players. Again, I mean, Station Park, you know, many times he's won Korean Nationals. And that is nothing to scoff at, you know. Korea is still pretty, I mean, it's still relatively new, but at the same time, you know, he's always come to Worlds, he's always brought his best team, and he's always been so good at playing. I believe he used Rough Skin Garchomp 2 years ago, and nobody even saw Rough Skin Garchomp back then. I mean, it was all Sandvale back then. And he actually, I mean, now Rough Skin Garchomp is the norm.
Yeah, right? That's true.
So,
definitely.
Yeah. And Omari, of course, you know, really hyper offensive, needs to find a way to get around Sagen's really bulky team needs to figure out a way to get out of, getting tickled by Gothitelle and those intimidates from Gyarados, and definitely needs to find a way to knock out that Pachirisu as soon as possible, because we saw how great of a support role it played for Sagen's team. I mean, that Gyarados could easily set up if Pachirisu was out on the field. Garchomp, I mean, I thought it would do a lot more damage to that Pachirisu with those attacks, but the Intimidate and just overall Sagen training his Pachirisu in so much bulk.
Yes, so much bulk, and yeah, the Intimidate played a huge role here, and I don't know if Omari is bringing the Zapdos going to work out for him with the Discharge as well as the Thunderbolt there.
I mean, Zapdos is definitely a Pokemon that you want to bring just to keep that Gyarados in check, right? So definitely try to keep Zapdos out, but the thing that he needs to do is find a way to make Pachirisu a non-factor. And really, one of the things that hurt Omari a lot in Game 1 was the fact that Kangaskhan, right off the bat, paralyzed.
Yes.
It got slowed down and it got tickled, reducing its attack. And that was just really unfortunate for Omari to fall into that trap. But now he knows about these tricks that Sagen has, and hopefully he can actually use that information to bring it back and take this game and force a Game 3.
All right, guys, it looks like we are jumping into the next game for this 2 out of 3. Like Twee just said, you could do it.
Yeah.
We just saw the last match go to 2 out of 3. That was a pretty intense one, so this could definitely go as well.
Right.
All right. Both players tossing out their Pokemon here. Let's see who we're going to get. Sagen going with the Garchomp and Gyarados lead here, and the Garchomp Zapdos lead for Omari.
A little bit of a throwback back to the old school back in 2009. Zapdos and Garchomp, very popular. Discharge, Earthquake, and Sagen coming out with Garchomp and Gyarados. Gyarados is not going to enjoy facing off against that Zapdos, and at the same time, it does get a fire off that Intimidate onto Garchomp, right? But even if Sagen does decide to Mega Evolve and get that Dark typing instead of that Flying typing, we saw earlier that Omari was not too shy to just fire off the Earthquake and fire off the Thunderbolt into that Gyarados slot anyways.
All right, looks like Omari actually going to go with a switch here on Gyarados. Brings in Conch Elder, switching out Garchomp into Conch Elder. Very nice, and the withdraw there on Gyarados. Probably in, is it going to be Pachirisu? There he is. Dragon Claw, though, from Garchomp onto Conch Elder, doing a decent amount of damage, almost down to 50%, and the Volt Absorb, of course, not taking any damage. A safe switch there for Sagen.
Right, smart switch right there from Sagen. Not really healing back because it was already at full health, but really a good switch for Sagen to just kind of get Pachirisu in. I really liked what Omari did with that Conch Elder. Conch Elder, of course, really popular last year. Hasn't seen much play this year because of the new Fairy typing, and it actually lost a lot of things that it cannot get in X and Y, such as Elemental Punches, really just hurting its usage. But I believe he switched in that Conch Elder to possibly have a better matchup against that Mega Gyarados if it did decide to stay in. So really good switch right there from both players, but looking at it, it looks like Sagen had the better switch because he did not take any damage at all.
Well, it looks like we're going to get the Detect here, so no damage on Conch Elder. Rock Slide. Conch Elder, of course, is protected this turn. It's going to do some okay damage to Zapdos there, taking it down to almost 50% there, proccing the Key Berry that we saw last time, raising the defense. Oh, the flinch, though. It can't move. Super Fang into Conch Elder. So not too much damage done this turn, but unfortunate on that flinch.
Yeah, and I really want to see what Zapdos could do. Zapdos really well known to carry, hidden powers that could face off against Garchomp if it really chose to. So, I mean, Zapdos probably could have even switched with U-turn as we saw earlier. But it's really just the Zapdos needs to find a way to deal some damage. And Conch Elder, I mean, it can hit pretty hard. It still hits like a truck. And probably going to be able to do a good amount of damage to that Pachirisu if it is able to get off an attack this turn and hit that Pachirisu.
Definitely. All right, looks like both players are locked in. We see the Follow Me from Pachirisu. Wants to take both of these attacks here. For Garchomp, we see the Dragon Claw going first, though. Garchomp so fast. Conch Elder in the red. Zapdos U-turning. Oh my gosh, the bulk, though, on that Patchy. The bulk on Pachirisu. Omari going to try and switch it up here. Bringing in the Talonflame. And Conch Elder Earthquake doesn't affect the Talonflame there. Nice switch. A lot of damage onto Pachirisu, but hanging on in the yellow. Conch Elder losing a little bit of hit points there. And Pachirisu, of course, going to eat up on that Citrus Berry.
Right, and Omari, in my opinion, is still in a tough spot. That Conkeldurr is easily going to be knocked out very soon, as we actually see Conkeldurr just be able to do a good amount of damage to that Pachirisu, but still not able to knock it out. I mean, that was a Life Orb Earthquake from Conkeldurr with a very high attack stat, and Pachirisu took it.
Yeah.
It hung on. And, I mean, really safe switch right there. Zapdos gonna, when he U-turned into the Pachirisu, switched out into the Talonflame. Talonflame gonna be able to kind of control the game a little bit by firing off Brave Birds or Flare Blitzes or whatever attack that this Talonflame chose as its same type attack boosted fire type attack.
Yeah, very true. It looks like we're going to actually get the switch here on Pachirisu back into Gyarados, getting that Intimidate off on both of these physical attacking Pokemon. How unfortunate there. Nice switch there from Sajin. And we do see the Brave Bird. Let's see what slot he's going for. Oh, into the Garchomp. Doesn't quite get the feint there. The Rough Skin. Oh, man. And that recoil. Mach Punch, though. Is it enough? Doubles up into the slot. Can he finish him? Oh, looks like Conkeldurr going to get fainted here, but I think we might see the feint. There it is. Oh, yes, on the Garchomp. Always hard to see if there's that last little sliver of health there. So needed to get rid of that Garchomp there, but tough situation still, I think, for Omari.
Yeah, at the cost of that Conkeldurr, but I believe that Conkeldurr was going to get knocked out this turn anyways because Garchomp, of course, from Sajin would have been able to knock it out easily as, I mean, Gyarados comes in, firing off Intimidates onto the Conkeldurr and the Talonflame. Big Intimidate right there, as Talonflame now going to be pretty weak, and we just saw that Brave Bird do barely any damage at all.
All right, Omari bringing the Garchomp back in.
And one interesting thing to note is, unless that Garchomp is actually Mega, I don't believe, you know, Omari decided to bring a Mega this game.
No, I think we didn't see the Kangaskhan, and I was actually wondering about that because Kangaskhan was so shut down last game. I was wondering if it was like, do we need to conserve the Kangaskhan?
Right,
oh, he does actually bring the Mega Garchomp. What? Double Mega. All right, the follow me on Pachirisu here. It's Talonflame setting up the Tailwind, though. Nice. Gonna give that extra speed to Garchomp that loses its speed from that Mega form. Earthquake doesn't affect the Gyarados, who hasn't Mega'd yet. No damage to its own Talonflame. Is it gonna pick it up on Pachirisu? It falls. Nice.
Omari takes a pretty good 3-2 lead as Gyarados actually gets to set up a Dragon Dance. That is scary.
There it is, the Follow Me Dragon Dance.
But at the same time, you know, really clutch play from Talonflame to set up that Tailwind, like you said. So that Tailwind going to be able to set up Garchomp to be fast after that speed drop from being Mega.
I'm loving this matchup right now. So it does look like Omari's Talonflame will for sure be faster here.
Right, and that Tailwind, I mean, that's going to pay off huge. I mean, Garchomp right now going to be able to fire off really powerful attacks onto either Gyarados or Talonflame. Really unfortunate that, you know, that Tailwind came up on Omari's side for Sajin because he thought he was pretty safe. You know, he got up the Dragon Dance. You know, Gyarados hiding behind a Dragon Dance is actually very scary.
All right, we do see the Gyarados finally going Mega here. All right, an intense turn here for Omari. Needs to make it 1-1, breaking the mold. Quick guard though from Talonflame. Oh, Omari's making a gesture here. I'm not sure if that means he went with the Brave Bird there. Dragon Claw, though, a lot of damage here. And another Dragon Dance. That's huge. That is huge for Sajin.
Yeah, Sajin realizing that his Gyarados is going to be pretty safe because that Quick Guard, just such a huge Quick Guard to prevent that Talonflame from being able to fire off a Brave Bird. So now that Mega Gyarados at +2 speed, +2 attack, going to be very dangerous. Going to be able to do a lot of damage to either Pokemon, and that Gyarados is actually a pretty bulky Pokemon, so I'm pretty sure it can take an attack from that Garchomp and dish back so much damage back to that Garchomp. So Sajin, I mean, you saw Omari, he respected that move from Sajin. You know, you respect that, you know, to be able to set up another Dragon Dance, just in the bravery for that, right?
Yes, agree with you there. It looks like we're actually going to see the Brave Bird here going down into the Talonflame slot, picks up the feint there, big damage. Drops the Talonflame, but also damaged by the recoil and the Life Orb, feints himself. Uh-oh, it's down to the 2 Megas. What's going to happen here? The Waterfall from Gyarados off of a double Dragon Dance. Huge damage, but Garchomp. Oh, the flinch! The
Unfortunate for Omari, and he is actually visually upset. That is a huge flinch, but right now it is going to be Zapdos and Garchomp left versus this Gyarados. It's still not over. I mean, Omari still has options, you know. It's just, this Gyarados is so scary.
I'm at a loss for words here. That flinch was just the most clutchest of clutchy clutch. It was so real, but you're correct. Zapdos is on the field with a double Dragon Dance here. It's going to be fast. It's going to be strong. We do see the waterfall again going first, of course, into the Zapdos. Maybe seeing it as the bigger threat here. Gets it down to 0. It faints. Garchomp substituting, though. It's going to give it an extra turn here. That's big. The Tailwind peters out, though.
And one of the things, though, this Garchomp hiding behind a substitute, you know, that Gyarados is going to fire off a waterfall here. Garchomp's going to get another attack. So, Garchomp, can it get a critical hit on this?
Oh, is the crit real? Earthquake! Mega Jump! Oh, hanging on.
And that should do it, Sagen, with that +2 Dragon Danced. Gyarados is going to be able to easily pick up the knockout on Garchomp. And
there's the feint.
Great set from both players, not gonna lie.
That was incredible. I think it all came down to that flinch.
Right.